Today we're talking about camera filters. No, not these kind of filters. The ones that can be screwed in on your camera. Всем привет, Elvin here. A good friend of mine last week gifted me his set of camera filters that he's no longer using. Now these ones come in from a company called Newer. You can see, I don't know if you can see it right there. And they come in these really nice pouches. There's actually 3 of them. And what I really like about it is not only the fact that they come in these pouches, but also that when you open them up, you have these nice pockets that you can store the filters in. Now this is the first time I ever get filters, so if all of them come with these pouches, that's amazing. Now, initially when I opened them, I quickly realized that I don't understand some of them. So this week I decided I'm gonna go through every single one of them, understanding the abbreviation, what they mean, and how can we use them. Now before I continue, I should tell you something very important. Before you buy or accept any camera filter, make sure that they actually fit your lens. Remember, lenses come in different shapes and sizes, and so do are the filters. So you need to know the size or the diameter of your lens. Now this information can be found either on the front face of your lens or somewhere on the side. And this number is distinguished by a symbol that looks like a potato crossed out. So you have the symbol, then the number, and then usually millimeters. And that will give you the size of the filter that you need to purchase. Now let's look at the filters. Neutral density filters, or ND for short, basically Ray-Bans for your camera. Yeah, so that your camera looks as badass as you do when you go on your photo shoots. And the purpose of this filter is to reduce the amount of light that enters your camera lens. Now why do we need this? Well, it helps us to properly expose our photos and videos during daytime photography. Now let me give you an example so it makes more sense. Now let's say we're shooting a video. Now there's a general rule that states that to have a more natural motion blur, we need to have our shutter speed double of our frame rate. So if we're shooting at 60 FPS, our shutter speed is 1/125. We go outside and it's just way too bright. Now we can adjust our exposure by decreasing our aperture size. But what if I want to have this nice creamy background behind me? Well, for that I need to create depth of field. So widen my aperture. So this is where the ND filter comes in, because slap this baby on and immediately we have less light coming into our lens, allowing us to widen our aperture without overexposing our image. Now in photography, what this ND filter really helps with is to slow down our shutter. Now, as we learned back in a different video, slowing down the shutter increases the amount of light entering our lens. So, an ND filter is another tool other than your aperture that can help us to control the amount of light entering our lens, and therefore we prevent from overexposing our images. Now, ND filters come with different numbers. The higher the number, the more light it blocks. In my case, I have an ND2 which blocks light by 1 stop, ND4 which blocks by 2, and ND8 which blocks by 3. Now there's also a term called stacking. Now what this is, and I can demonstrate you by taking my ND2 and ND4, what stacking is basically combining filters together. And it's as easy as just screwing one on top of the other, just like this. And now we have a filter that blocks light by 3 stops, which is equivalent to our ND8. Now let's combine all 3 together. And now we have a filter that blocks light by a whole 8 stops. So this really gives us flexibility. However, be careful, don't put too many of them on top of each other, because we need to keep in mind that we're adding glass in front of our lens. So in some cases it can create distortions. UV filter, useless widget filter. I'm joking with you guys, actually it's ultraviolet filter, but it is actually quite useless. Back in the day of film, this filter was used to protect the film from ultraviolet rays, but nowadays with digital sensors there's really no need to it. The only thing that you can use this filter for is to protect your camera lens. Now there's a divided opinion to this. Some people say that it's useless and it just reduces the quality of your image, and then there's the other half that say that this is a very good thing, and most probably they have a story where this little guy helped them to prevent their lens, which cost 1, 2, 3, 4,000 euros, from being damaged. So honestly, for me, I still need to test to see if it changes anything in my footage or my photos, but it sounds good as a way to protect your lens. And continuing with the list of useless filters comes the FLD, which is this really cool purple colored filter. Really love this color. Basically, back in the day of film, this was used to help keep your white balance in check when using fluorescent light. Nowadays, there's no really use of this because our digital cameras have a built-in white balance corrector. So I don't really know what I'm going to be using this for, but maybe one day it's going to come in handy with some creative projects. We'll have to see. Circular polarizer / linear. Now this bad boy is known for reducing or even removing reflections from surfaces, and this is done by just twisting the ring on the filter itself. Now if you're wondering why does this twist and how does this work, well, the short answer is physics. The long answer is reflections are polarized light. And polarization, in a nutshell, basically means that we have light, which is electromagnetic waves, and they move in different directions. So from, let's say, point A to point B, a wave can move vertically, horizontally, also at an angle, at many different angles, and there's like millions of them. Now that is called unpolarized light. However, as soon as it hits and reflects from a surface, all the waves basically get squashed together and they start moving together in one direction. And usually this direction is perpendicular to the direction that the normal light moves. So for the sake of this example, let's say that our polarized light is moving vertically and then the normal light is moving horizontally. So this filter is made out of many slits on a molecular level, and all of them are, like, for example, vertically. So when we put this filter in front of light, polarized light comes in and passes through without a problem, because polarized light is moving vertically or shaking more vertically, and we have our slits also vertically. However, as soon as I twist this filter, I basically change the slits to vertical position, and now polarized light cannot pass through, but normal light can. This way we're reducing or even removing reflections. Now you can actually test it yourself if you have this filter. Just take it out and place it right in front of your screen or your TV and start twisting it. And at some point you realize that it's going to be blocking all the light that goes through the filter. And that's because light coming from our LCD screens are all polarized. Now a good added bonus of this filter is that it gives us rich blue skies. And this is done because light entering our atmosphere also gets a little bit polarized. So by eliminating them, we basically get richer colors. So can't wait to go outside and actually test all of this out. And the final set of filters that come with their own pouch are the close-ups or macro filters. Now basically, these are these magnification glasses that are attached to our lens, and we can make macro photography without having to buy any fancy lens. How cool is that? Now, these come in different magnifications. We have a +1, +2, +4, and a +10. And here are a couple of pictures that I made. And look at that detail. Oh my God. I think the thing that makes me the happiest in photography is just these small details, either close-ups or just things around where that you put like props. I mean, oh my God, it's so cool. And I can do this just with these filters. That's amazing. And that's basically it when it comes to the filters that come in this filter pack made by Newer. Thank you for watching, be a good comrade, drop a like, consider subscribing, and I see you in the next video. Пока!